Hello everybody, this is Nathan on Shuffle, and I'm really excited to bring you another New Music Friday. I'm actually filming this on Thursday night. This is July 1st that I'm filming it, but I'm actually going out of town tomorrow, so I wanted to get this filmed and out there before I left for my trip. So hopefully that is okay with all of you, and I know that sometimes a lot of news will come out on a Friday, or a lot of new singles or new albums and so forth, so I'm not going to maybe have as much to talk about based on that, but there are a bunch of interesting news things that I saw throughout the week that I wanted to mention, mostly to do with touring and live shows that are coming up, so that's what I'm going to kind of focus on in this episode. So first, before I get into it though, I wanted to kind of issue some correction from last week. I mentioned it in the comments, but just in case you didn't see that, I talked about Bent Knee and their upcoming tour. They're actually touring with the band The World is a Beautiful Place and I Am No Longer Afraid to Die. It's the name of the band that's headlining the tour that they're a support act for. And so I thought that was the name of the tour because it just seemed like a title to a tour. It didn't sound like a band name to me, so I read that news a little bit wrong. So I wanted to issue that correction and mention that that's actually the band's name. The World is a Beautiful Place and I Am No Longer Afraid to Die. So check them out. I plan to check out that band. I haven't really heard of that band before, so that's a cool upcoming tour that's coming out, and Bent Knee is a part of it. So also I wanted to address a little bit about my solo reactions that I kind of do as part of this New Music Friday. There was some discussion in the comments about that a little bit, and I've struggled the last 2 weeks to be able to release these videos because of these reactions. A lot of this new music gets blocked by certain labels, certain bands. I'm not sure exactly the process of who's blocking it and whatnot, but I've been thinking about it. It's a tough thing because I feel like I am promoting their music. I'm trying to really bring attention to these new albums and these new songs. And so I'm trying to do it in a good way, and I'm always doing it for songs that already exist on YouTube. So I thought it would be okay to use that music just for the purposes of the show. But I recognize that there is some gray area maybe regarding the copyright concerns and things, and I don't want to ever do anything that would make the artists uncomfortable or make the labels upset. I don't want to utilize people's artistic integrity and so forth for my own purposes. And I want to reiterate, I think it's probably pretty obvious, I don't make money from this. This is just a fun hobby. I don't have a big enough following to monetize from this anyways. And most of my videos are copyright claimed, so any ads you may see or whatever is definitely those artists, those labels, whatever, getting that monetization, not me. So this is all just fun for me. I'm not trying to profit off of these bands whatsoever. I hope that's never the impression. I just have so much excitement and love for this music. I want to share it, and I'm so excited when I hear this new music, and I thought it would be a fun way to kind of feature these new songs, to show me reacting to it and kind of giving this live reaction and commentary on it as I listen to it. But I'm not sure I'm going to be able to do that moving forward. I feel like it's too problematic, and it's causing me a lot of issues in trying to upload these shows. And I still want to use music clips because it's important to me that there's some element of music, so there's some context to the songs and the albums that I talk about on my shows. And I don't mind if they get copyright claimed. I just hate when they're outright blocked, and I can't even post the video at all, and then I have to trim things out and re-edit, and it takes hours to re-upload and all that stuff. So I'm trying to do it in the best way possible. So I'm going to feature some songs at the end of this, but I'm probably only going to play like short clips and mostly focus on the discussion about them, and hope that if you're interested, you'll actually go to their videos and go check out the full songs from them, so that they get the attention they deserve and they get the hits and the views and all of that attention. That's where it should be headed. And so that's kind of my approach at the moment. I'm still determining things, so probably too long of a discussion on that. So into the prog news that I've been reading about and seeing, I saw a lot of news dealing with Alex Lifeson, of course, big guitar player from Rush. Released a couple snippets of things, a couple like instrumental tracks, I believe, on his website, 2 singles. And there's a lot of news about some new projects coming. He talks here about this Envy of None project with bassist Andy Curran, who's known for his work with the hard rock band Coney Hatch. So this is an interesting story about Alex Lifeson kind of doing some music, collaborating with some other people. I saw today there was some news about him collaborating with a couple different people as well from, I believe, let me look it up before I misspeak here. Okay, so yeah, Alex Lifeson, looks like there's a new song he's involved with Tom Morello, of Rage Against the Machine and Metallica's Kirk Hammett. So kind of some interesting collaborative things from Alex Lifeson. I thought that was kind of interesting and Prog related. It's so a lot of interesting collaboration there. That Envy of None project sounds interesting. They're also joined by a vocalist, Maya Wynn, it looks like. So a lot of interesting intrigue there. That says there's a lot of music recorded and they're mixing, and hopefully in late summer, early fall, we'll see this released. And it sounds like it's a pretty unique blend of things. They describe it as sounding like Massive Attack with a little bit of some electronic stuff with Nine Inch Nails influence, but with this beautiful, fragile, sweet voice and some dark, heavy sounds. So doesn't sound like really anything like the bands that are this is coming from, so it should be a really interesting kind of unique project. So I thought that was really cool. Another thing, I saw a new album, Fragments by Trifecta, is being released on August 20th on Kscope. This features some pretty interesting, notable prog figures: Nick Beggs, Adam Holzman, and Craig Blundell, kind of familiar for their work with Steven Wilson and so forth. So I thought that was cool, that album's coming out, and they released a track from it. Have you seen what the neighbors are doing? So some cool developments there. That album's up for pre-order, and so cool new album coming out. Just thought I'd mention that. And then on to kind of some of the live news. I see there was an announcement of John Anderson performing with the Paul Green Academy Tour. It looks like this is kind of related to the School of Rock tour he did back starting in 2005, and did a lot of shows with that were actually really cool. A lot of Yes classics being played with kind of these young musicians behind John Anderson singing. So it's kind of sounds like a cool experience. A lot of people speak highly of this kind of tour, this Paul Green School of Rock tour, and now Paul Green Academy. And it seems cool to have these young people get into this prog music and play with kind of a prog, legend like John Anderson. So he announced some tour dates for that if there's any interest there. It's kind of funny with all these live music announcements. It's cool to see that bands are returning to the live stage and that's continuing. But almost all these announcements, they're playing nowhere near me. It seems like the West Coast of the U.S. is kind of getting forgotten right now. Maybe it's going to be a little bit slower to build us back up, but mostly some more East Coast dates. So check those out. Also, Haken announced that they're going back on tour 2022. They have some dates up for February of next year. And they're all dates in Europe so far. I'm kind of hoping after the Europe run, they kind of come to the U.S. perhaps for a little bit of a run. I saw them on a cruise a while back, the Progressive Nation at Sea, but I've never really seen them just at a normal gig. I've always been a little intimidated because I'm not as into the heavy metal scene, and I'm worried the crowds there would be a little bit more on the heavier end, and I kind of like the more proggy, like sit back and enjoy element. But I'm interested, so I really love them. They're one of my top favorite bands, and I know they're absolutely amazing live, so just thought I had to mention them going on tour. So a lot of cool stuff, and I heard about Rossfest is something I've been following next year. It was I thought Rossfest was totally canceled, but it looks like they're bringing it back with some new people kind of running the show. And they just announced one of their headliners, which is going to be King's X. that sounds like is going to close the whole weekend on that Sunday, April 17th. So it's a cool Prog festival in Sarasota, Florida that's happening. And that's a pretty hot spot of a time, that's right around when Cruise to the Edge will happen. That Morse Fest that's happening around that time. So just a lot of notable Prog activity being scheduled for next year. Next, spring, summer should be a pretty good time for Prog, I hope. So a lot of cool developments there. So that's kind of some of the biggest news I saw as I perused around. I did also want to mention this is going to be a week where I'm taking a little bit of a break. Like I said, I'm going out of town on vacation, so there may not be as much shows this upcoming week. I do still have a scheduled Jana Reacts, which should be exciting to all the Nightwish fans. I'll kind of spoil it now. Finally, we're getting to Nightwish, and my wife kind of getting her first taste of symphonic metal. So for all those Nightwish Army fans, that should be really exciting to hear on this upcoming Sunday show. There may not be a review this week, but there may be a kind of a bonus show. I'm kind of still deciding if I'm going to do something on the road while me and my wife are traveling, and it could be kind of a fun opportunity, but I'm not making any promises yet because I don't know the logistics of being able to film as we're out and about. So, but that's kind of what I'm thinking about. But in terms of a review and those kinds of things, it's just I just don't really have time to film and put that out this week. But I will resume normal schedule the week after. And I have some exciting reviews that I'm still working on. I really want to review the new Styx album that will definitely be coming. And so a lot of excitement for things that are coming up. And I have a really exciting possible show that's coming up as well that I don't want to give away, but it's something that I'm really excited to do because it's something I haven't done yet in this realm. So it's something kind of fun that I'm excited about. So that's kind of a taste of what's coming. I did do a pop edition of New Music Shuffle this past week. Like expected, it wasn't like a huge one that people watched a lot, but I thought it was some cool, interesting, unique pop music, like way off the beaten path of what you'd hear like on pop radio or Spotify pop list or something like that. Some slightly more, I don't know if I'd say prog influences, but more variety on display, and more, kind of a 70s influence from St. Vincent, and, White Moth Black Butterfly has kind of almost electronic elements, and it has, it's from the members of Tesseract, so there's some of a prog bent to it, and then I feel like Wolf Alice is more in that alternative rock kind of range, grunge rock. So, just a variety of different things going on, and that makes, if you're at all interested, you can always check that one out. And now I'm going to get to kind of the music. Like I said, I'll probably just play a short clip of it, but I am going to listen to it like normal. I just may not show much of it. The first thing I wanted to listen to is Marillion, and a new song from their upcoming live album. They released a YouTube video for this live album that I'm really excited about. I talked last week about how I'm kind of lukewarm about Marillion and not sure how I feel about them totally, but I'm excited for this album because it's a live album that I believe has a string quartet. It's from their orchestra related tour, so there's some nice orchestration, and I usually like when bands do that. I'm not a huge fan mostly of live albums, but I like when there's live albums with a new element that kind of twists the songs that the band does in a new and different, unique way, like either doing them acoustic style, which I really love their album Less is More, which took kind of some of their classics in a more acoustic vein. And then I also like the idea of putting an orchestra behind it and adding a different flavor. So I think this could be right up my lane and be a great Marillion album for me. It sounds like it's going to contain a lot of their highlights. So yeah, I kind of wanted to listen to it and see what we've got here. So I'm going to play a clip of it, listen to it, and give my impressions of this Marillion live track.
So say goodbye.
All right, that was really nice. I really liked that. They're I really like that kind of thing. It's cool to see a live show of a group like that, and adding that element of like the cool strings and so forth, and the horns, and all of that orchestration. I just think it's a really sweet sound, and it complements them really well because they have such a, you know, heartfelt delivery and have this kind of emotional music that kind of lends itself to that kind of orchestration. I love Steve Hogarth's voice. It's just really piercing and beautiful and so unique. And every time you hear that voice, you know who it is. It's a cool sound, and I really like hearing that. So really cool. Well done. Gets my stamp of approval. Sounds really great. I really appreciated it. Just beautiful, and there's kind of that little bit of progginess in there as well, so definitely something worth checking out. So check out that live album, and hopefully that'll be of interest to you guys, because I think it's well worth your attention. So another thing I saw was Riverside's keyboardist Michal Lapaj is releasing a solo album, his debut solo album, on July 16th. So that's coming up real quick, just a couple weeks away. The album is called Are You There? And he just released a second single from it, featuring Mick Moss from Antimatter on vocals. So I thought this would be a cool one to listen to and give my impression of. So this should be a cool release. I love Riverside, and so any chance to hear an element of them. And I know I've heard this is a little bit more atmospheric and post-rock style, melancholy and darkness and emotion in the mix. That should be interesting and kind of give a different flavor from the typical Riverside. So let's see what that one sounds like.
I don't wanna fight these ghosts anymore. Is there any way out of here? Shattered memories fade.
All right, that was very interesting. That piece of music was called Shattered Memories, featuring Mick Moss by Michal Lapaj. Very interesting. Just a lot of atmosphere. The video was like kind of this almost short film about loneliness and about kind of darkness and sadness. And the music really gave that vibe to me. It was just, there's a lot of atmosphere, and it really sucks you in and surrounds you. It's just, there's so much kind of this wall of music around you that's kind of almost crushing you in a sense, giving you that feeling of almost like just this kind of claustrophobia or loneliness. It's a really interesting mix. There's a lot of soundscape to it, a lot of keyboards that are giving this kind of mood and vibe. I appreciate that. There's this kind of a build, and the voice is really haunting as well by Mick Moss. Just a really haunting track that really shows an interesting side, something we maybe don't hear totally on like Riverside albums, but really interesting flavor, and should be an interesting solo record. I definitely would recommend checking that one out. Comes out on July 16th, and sounds like it should have some interesting music on board from a really notable figure in the prog realm. So I really love Riverside, so I'm very curious always about what any of the members of the band are doing. So, and with that, we will close the show. Thank you guys for joining me. Sorry that I'm not able to do the reactions. Some people maybe weren't liking them anyways. I know some people just don't prefer it. I heard the word cringeworthy in the comments, and so it's made me a little less enthused to do these solo reactions. So I'm kind of weighing that out. It was a little bit discouraging last weekend, so I'm still trying to come out of that and figure out the best solution that makes everyone happy and that makes me excited to be able to share this stuff with you. So hopefully you enjoyed the show. Hopefully you found some news that you liked or excited about some of these live shows that are coming up and some of these albums, some of the live albums. So thank you guys so much for always being there for me and the positive comments and being very supportive. Please subscribe if you like what I'm doing. I plan to keep this weekly update format going. So if you want to find out some of the big prog news, this is a good place to come for it. I will link to the music videos that I featured so you can see the whole song and not just these little snippets that I'm only able to do. So thank you guys once again, and as always, enjoy the music.